today I will just go through the portal. This is your portal. This is same thing for whether you're studying online. They don't say online, they say on board. So that means distance learning. And then this would be the same thing for the people who are studying on site. Let me explain something to you about the online program now that we are in the portal. First of all, you get exactly the same professors as the local students get. In fact, usually the university picks the most senior professors and someone who's more capable, they will pick them to teach online. So these professors, they're literally teaching in the daytime in the university in person, and then they will come and then they will teach you online. Okay, so you have a live class for every single courses every week. فهمتم? So it's not like it's recorded like you have in IAU and other programs. It is completely live. Okay, so you get the same teachers, same professors. And Allah give me, he allowed me to study with more than almost 70 different professors, 70 different scholars. So this is something that you cannot overlook. It's something amazing. You see different teachers, different scholars. You understand their way of thinking. You learn a lot just through that. So number one, keep in mind, it is exactly the same professors. It is the same curriculum, same books, and also you have a live class for each and every single subjects. So what I'll do first, I will show you the curriculum. Okay, let me show you the curriculum. So these are the courses that you have to take throughout entire program. So they have 8 levels, 8 semesters, which is obviously divided by 2. We have 4 years. It took me 6 years to study because in the beginning I was taking part-time. As you can see, studying full-time, it's going to be pretty difficult, especially if you're studying in the beginning. Every semester you have 9 courses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wallahi, this is not joke. So it is very difficult. Another thing to note is that the university has a requirement that each semester you have to memorize one juz of the Quran each semester. And they will start from the Surah Al-Baqarah, from the first juz, and all the way to the 8th. So what they do is that they will make you memorize from 1 to 8, and then they will make you review your tilawa, your tajweed, and everything else perfect using from 9 to 16. I would have preferred that if they make us memorize from the back, 30, 29, 28. But the reason why they do this from the front is because you're in the Sharia program. Most of the rulings from the Quran is in the first 5 or 6 surahs. Surah Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, Al-Nisa. All of these surahs, Al-Ma'idah, they're the one that has most of the rulings. So it only makes sense that you have this verses memorized of the rulings that you'll be dealing with. And if you are not a hafiz, if you don't know these surahs, then memorizing the Quran, this is something that I found the most difficult thing. Wallahi, this is a sad thing to say, but don't worry, it gets better as you memorize, gets better. So the way the Quran class work is that every week you have to give one rubu'. Okay, rubu', if you don't know the Medina print, the rubu' is about 2.5 pages. And you have to read this in front of all the other students. And what happens is that you have the male students and the female students. This is one class that always gives me a lot of pressure, but that's a good thing. You need this kind of pressure. So this is one of the blessing. Just picking that alone, that one class is one of the blessing that I think is worth everything else. So every week you have to give one rubo to the teacher. Now, sisters, you're probably wondering how does the sister read? Usually what happens, the teacher will listen to the brothers first and then male students, and then he will ask them to leave. And then the rest of the half, only the sisters will read. So if you're already hafid, wallahi, that's good. I just wish I had memorized some of these things beforehand. So every semester you memorize one Quran, and then as you can see, you have 9 courses. So what I'll do, just quickly give you an overview of the core subject. Let's start with Tawheed. which is Akida. So as you can see, you will have Akida from the first semester. So you have Tawheed first, then you have Tawheed second. In the third semester, we don't have anything from the Akida. Fourth semester, Tawheed 3, so Akida comes back. Then we have, this is the fourth one, Tawheed 4 in the fifth term, fifth semester. Okay, and then we have more. So what happens is that after that, these are the ones more interesting subject where they talk about many different types of branches or different religions, sects within the religion. So they go a little bit in details. So you have 6 Akida courses, means 3 years. So you'll be studying Akida for 3 years, even though this is not Akida department. So they still give you all enough Akida. Then when it comes to fiqh, this is where you will see the fiqh is all over the place. So it starts from the fiqh of ibadah, and then you have the fiqh of ibadah too. Every single semester you have fiqh. And when it comes to end, you have more than one fiqh class. Here's the fiqh, here's the fiqh, okay, and here's the fiqh. So we have 3 different fiqh classes. And not only that, we also have inheritance separately, which is part of the fiqh, but what happens is that they make the inheritance into a separate series. So you have 3 semesters studying the laws of inheritance. Because as you know, this inheritance law is not that easy. There's a lots of rules. So this is al-fara'id. So fara'id is what inheritance is. So you have 1, al-fara'id 2, and al-fara'id 3. So 3 terms of inheritance law. So many math and so many interesting things. What happens, this and that. So after these 3 classes, you can specialize only in inheritance without a problem. There's nothing else left. You should be able to find out all the numbers, who gets what, what's the portion for any different scenarios. So every time you will have fiqh and you will also have usul al-fiqh. So here they will start with hukm shari'i, and then it will go with Adilat al-Ahkam 2, then it will go to Adilat al-Ahkam 3, subhanallah, and then it will go to Adilat al-Ahkam 4, then it will go to Dalalat al-Alfaz. These are all usul al-fiqh. Then we have another Dalalat al-Alfaz. Where is it? It is here. And then in here, you also have other things that relates to usul al-fiqh, which is like maqasid al-sharia, which is very interesting subject indeed. Yeah, these are all of them are important in order to understand the Islamic law. Without this entire program, you cannot honestly think. It will make you, especially because of we're doing comparative fiqh, it will give you a feeling for the scholars, and it will make you understand where they come from. You will understand, you will not get into argument, you will not become like my way or the highway, at least from the fiqh perspective. But as I mentioned to you, when it comes to Aqidah, the university is pretty strict. The first Arabic class that they teach you, now some of you are probably interested in the Arabic. The first thing they will teach is Tahrir al-Arabi. So what is this class? This class is all about the writing. Mostly it will talk about Hamza, the rules of the Hamza, how do you write. We probably spent half semester just talking about how to write Hamza. There's a lots of rules. Hamza can become Hamza itself, it can become on the alif, on the bottom of the alif, it can be on the top of waw, it can be on the ya, it can be, there's so many different ways, and the rules are very interesting. It's not that easy. And then it will also talk about the punctuations and other things. So it pretty much gives you all the rules that you need to know, so that you don't make a spelling mistakes. Okay, so you know how to write proper academic papers. Okay, so this is what they'll do. And then the second semester, they teach you Madhab al-Bahath. So this is where they teach you the research methodology. So how do you do research? Because almost all the classes, you would have to write something small paper. I don't want to say research paper, because at the end, as you can see, for example, this semester, this was my last semester, we had to write 2 research papers, Bahath al-Fiqh, research on al-Fiqh, and Bahath Usul al-Fiqh. These 2 gave me the hardest time. Wallahi, it was the hardest thing for me to do, because writing research paper in Arabic is not easy. Especially for my Usul al-Fiqh teacher was extremely hard. His requirements were crazy. Believe it or not, to do this research paper, I left home, I went to a hotel and stayed there for a couple of nights, twice, so I can focus and write my paper. Stayed hotel just to write my paper. So it was pretty intense. So this is your first Arabic. Then here comes Nahu Wahid. So from here, our primary textbooks were Alfiya ibn Malik and by the Sharh ibn Aqil. So Ibn Aqil's Sharh was our primary book for 4 semesters, 2 years. So Nahu 1, then where comes Nahu 2, and then Nahu 3, and you have an Nahu 4. So this 4 semester, we pretty much covered 75% of the Alif ibn Malik. Then after finishing 4 semester, then they will go into a sarf. Now the sarf, they will do Shadal Arf, the famous intermediate sarf book. Here, of course, in 1 semester, covering everything is impossible, but we pretty much did so. The class was pretty fast paced. Actually, what I'm gonna do right now is I'll just mention some of the names of the book that we studied. Okay, instead of going through all the classes, I'll just mention. For the fiqh, our primary book was Bidayatul Mujtahid. Okay, that there is a primary book by Ibn Rushd because this is one of the best comparative fiqh. And the secondary book was Ar-Rawd al-Murbi'. So this is your Hanbali advanced book because Rawd al-Murbi' is the explanation of Zad al-Mustaqna', which is the intermediate book. These are not easy. These are very, very hard books, both of them. When it comes to Usul al-Fiqh, we do Rawdatul Nadir by Ibn Qudama. So this is another very good book. We covered this entire book in 4 years. Then for the Akida, I told you, we have a few different books. Kitab al-Tawheed by Abdul Wahhab, something that we did first semester. After that, we went to Al-Aqida al-Tahawiyah. And then there were other supplements as well, which is written by the professors in the university. For the Hadith book, for the Mustalah Hadith, this is Nukhbat al-Fikr, that what I mentioned. For the Hadith collections, we studied Bulugh al-Maram. Then, of course, we have Qawaid al-Fiqhiyah. We did actually 3 semesters, Qawaid al-Fiqhiyah. So this is a very important class. And the last semester we did Ijtihad. It was very, very useful, very interesting class indeed. So that's your curriculum.